Planning scheduled services on the HPC calendar. We're going to walk through planning scheduled services and unplanned scheduled services. So some of the key things that you need to make sure you have: ensure that your DBU provider has been identified. When you assign the DBU provider with the begin date of the MRC flip date, and then you leave that end date open to infinity. This is different than what DRA was. For DRA, you broke and stop a lot of DBU provider spans. For MRC, you start the new MRC provider in there for the DBU, and you leave that end date open. You no longer have to put that end date on that DBU provider span unless the provider changes. HPC staffing patterns should exist for all reasonably predicted HPC services. So those are your typical HPC usage patterns. Adjustments based on history of your holidays, day service program closures, and weekends, and any other anticipated changes to direct service hours. Resources to use when planning for the switch to MRC. Your current and historical schedules that have been used in the past, previous documentation from providers that support days missed where extra services were needed, also the current DRA site. So you will notice that this is a screenshot of the current DRA site. And what you need to do is look at this and say, what happened in current DRA world and how do I move forward with MRC? If you'll notice on the bottom right-hand side, there's an overage of negative 19.16%. That means this site was underutilized by 19%. This is where we need to start asking the questions of why. Why are we underutilizing, or why are we overutilizing? What did we miss when we were in the planning process? Did we put something in the unscheduled that shouldn't have been there? Did we miss something in the schedules that shouldn't have been there? What kind of happened? But when you come to these meetings, for the ISP meetings, these are the documentations everybody needs to talk about and discuss.
County boards, you don't want to authorize services based upon the hours available to the provider through their staffing. You still want to continue to authorize services based upon need. So let's be real careful with that, because it's going to be something that you're going to want to do is constantly lower the projected hours just because the provider may not have staff available during that particular month. Understand that the CPT meeting is a collaborative event between providers and the county boards. So you need to be there prepared on your part. You need to be ready to listen to what the provider is, the information that they are showing up with, and make sure that the provider has the input, because their pay is going to be completely wrapped around what goes on in the projected hours. So don't forget, if the provider is below or within 3% below or above, then they're going to get paid out at 100% of the projected dollars. And that is going to be very important to that provider, and they are going to be bringing, or they should be bringing, this information with them.